Hi everyone, my name is Vaibhav. Welcome back to Aussizz Group live session on panel discussion. Now today we have in our panel Nirav from Melbourne and Preeti from Perth and Vishali from Adelaide and myself, I'm from Sydney. So today we are going to discuss about different topics that are currently in discussion with current situations about migration. So now the first thing that we are going to talk about is the temporary quota allocation to each state, including Victoria, New South Wales, Canberra, and all other states. So Nirav from Melbourne will be able to help us in understanding the criteria. So Nirav, can you please tell us what are the what is the implication of this temporary quota allocation and how it is going to impact the application? What are the states likely to do with this quota that they have been allocated with? So if you can help us understand the overall situation right now from now until October, that will be really great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. As like recently, immigration federal government has updated that like they will allocate some of the quota for different states. It will not be that huge. It will be like very less. So the state will decide like for which occupation actually they need in this time until October, and they will allocate the quota based on that to each occupation. So for example, if you start with the ACT, so ACT is the first state who started to nominate now. And the ACT has declared first the critical skill list that include like accounting, IT applicants, nurses, and even engineers. But the occupation like place or allocation was like very less. You can say like 10, 5 seats, maybe 20 seats, but not more than that for each occupation. And they have done the invitation round as well, like for yesterday, and they have invited around 140 or 145 applicants for all of that occupation, and that too like for the 190 and 491, including for both category. And for most of them, like for accountant, it's already says that it's capped. Now they full the quota, for this round only. So for other occupation, they have invited around like for IT around 70 points, for 190, and for 491 it is around 100 points as well for some of the IT occupations. So but there are some applicants who are confused that like if they are living in New South Wales, if they are living in Victoria, they are eligible for ACT or not, because we get lots of inquiry like that over like our existing client. If they're living here, they are asking that they can apply for ACT critical skill list or not. So actually I would say that if you're meeting the Canberra metric points along with that same occupation critical skill list, and if you get that many points by staying over there for minimum 3 months or like 6 months based on 491 and 190 criteria, then only you are eligible. So ultimately, if you're living in other states, you will not be eligible for the ACT criteria. And even for offshore applicant, it's difficult. Like it's not available for offshore for the ACT skill occupation to be nominated. So this way, like at least ACT will nominate some of the occupation until October. After October, definitely once the federal government will announce the further allocation for the rest of the financial year, they will allocate more seats for different occupation, and there are more chances, because we got recently few inquiries for ACT that they removed the engine technologies. Actually, it was not there in the critical list, but there should be chance that they will get it back in October when they will open it again with more occupations in the list. So that's why like don't confuse with the ACT critical list, critical skill list with the actual state nomination list. So actual state nomination list wide, they will announce with more number of occupation as an open as previously in October. So this is the scenario for the ACT state. Similarly, like today, I think we got an update for South Australia. So for South Australia, they have announced that like if your occupation is, you can consider in like skill list, in a critical sector, then like you can apply for an expression of interest from now only. So for example, if you're a nurse, if you're an engineer, that considered as a critical sectors currently in a COVID scenarios, you can apply for the EUI, and they will announce the requirement on 27th of August, I think. And you can see if you're meeting the requirement, you have a good chance to get the invitation in next few weeks in that occupation list. So they didn't announce the exact occupation list yet, not even the exact requirement. That should be, I think, announced after 27th of August as per their current update. And apart from that, like for Victoria, even Victoria say that like they will start allocating these seats for different occupations like in near future, but they didn't announce the date. Like South Australia said that they will do it on 27th August. They didn't make any announcement for that. However, like there is a possibility that it should come very soon for Victoria, because like if they don't announce this month, then next month like they will just have 1 month or 1.5 months, to invite, because anyhow in October they need to change it again. So they should come up with very soon for the Victoria State nomination. Apart from that, like for Western Australia, I think for New South Wales, they didn't announce anything yet, like how they will allocate the quota during this time. I think they might don't announce as well. They might straight away open in October, depending on their state requirement, or because they're waiting for maybe more quota, I think, and allocate more seats to different occupation rather than allocating in this time. And for Northern Territory, they say that you can apply if you're meeting the requirement, but they are not inviting anyone currently. Similarly, Tasmania as well. You can apply for the state application, but they are not inviting. They didn't make any announcement that in this until October to whom they will invite. So we are getting so many applicants like who are applying for the state application for Tasmania, but definitely they will not get the invitation until they will get the quota from the federal government, until October might be, because they didn't announce anything for the critical occupation list, which should be until October. So these are the like states which says that like when you can expect the requirements, when you can apply for the different states. So majorly, I would say like most of the requirement for all of the occupation will be announced in October. But you can keep ready with your skill assessment. I would say lodge an expression of interest as well, because all the states who are opening now, they are focusing more on lodging an EOI. So there will be a scenario that they might invite based on the points as well. So whoever will have a higher points and meeting the skill requirement for the state, they will get the first chance. So if you already have the skill assessment, if you already have higher points, it is advisable to lodge an EOI. Then you can wait for the state requirement. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Nirav. It's a very good information that you have shared with us so that the applicants gets an idea of what states are likely to nominate, what states are likely to take longer to nominate people as well. Thank you very much for the insights. Now we'll take few questions, and for these questions, we have got some questions from people from the Facebook queries. So let's take the question. So Priti from Perth will take these questions. So Priti, the first question is from Abhishek. The question is that I have applied for a step 2 of a job ready program in month of April 2020. So I would like to know how long the TRA will take in assessing my step 2 application because of the COVID-19. Is there any delay or not? Right. So if you have come across any case like this, can you please share the details?
All right. Thank you, Vaibhav, and welcome aboard, everyone. I'm Preeti from the Perth Group. And this question is regarding the TRA Job Ready Program Step 2-1. Now, recently, what has happened is initially the TRA was processing all the applications by themselves in the TRA itself. Now, they have outsourced these applications to VETASES. While they have outsourced this one, there has been delay in the transition, but recently we have seen they have picked up quite a lot with the applications and is clearing a lot of backlog with all the applications and all the applicants rather, which have been waiting with where even they have finished their 12 months, have even completed their all the hours and still were waiting for the offices to be allocated. We have seen that this is just getting picked up very quite sooner and are allocated by the officers also, and they are clearing all the backlogs. So if you have applied in April and waiting, I would say the wait will not be very long. You should be hearing from the officer on behalf of TRA from the wet assess. Okay, this is the first thing. And secondly, if you recently they have changed their process also, where they are saying that if you have completed your 6 months since the enrollment, you don't wait for the officer to be allocated or things for that. Just there is a report that there is a form for the evaluation report that you needs to fill it up and upload all your pay slips in your portal also. If you do that, then the once the officer is allocated, you can it could prioritize your application, and it would be a kind of a way the officer is not going to ask you for any other further information. So this is what I could say about the job ready stage 2 at this point of time. They're clearing their backlogs. If you haven't filled your evaluation skills report yet, do that if you have finished your 6 months, because it's no more quarterly anymore. It is based on the 6 months now, and upload all your pay slips into your portal. And that would definitely help to the officer once allocated. And you should hear soon too.
Right. Thank you very much, Preeti, for that. The next question is from Damu. He's asking that 189 migration civil engineer at 90 points on 10th of August. So I think the client wants to ask that I've got 90 points as a civil engineer lost on 10th of August. What are the likely chances to get an invite?
Right. Okay. So with the 189, we have seen the non-prorata applications are basically fluctuating between 90 and 95. Your EOI, which is of 10th of August, is the very, the date of effect of an EOI at 90 points is not reluctantly, I would say, that you can be invited within a month or so or anything. There would be a bit of a wait at the 90 points. However, at 95, definitely, once they started giving the invitations to the engineering occupations, that is fine. But at 90, there would be a wait for you. Even when they're like a layman language where we say the normal rounds will come through, because recently we have seen that the critical sectors occupations are being invited more, and where they have even the lesser points also. But for the engineering ones and even for the other non-proratas, 90 EOI is good if your date of effect is quite a long time ago. But the recent ones, I would say try to get 5 more points if you want to be invited sooner.
I understand. Thank you very much, Preeti. So the next question, Vishali, is to you about, so this is Mr. Mohammed is asking about partner visa. So I think he means the 485 dependent visa because he's on 485 visa. Can I bring my partner? So the question is that I'm on a 485 visa. Can I bring my partner from overseas right now? Vishali.
Okay, so now, of course, we have launched a few applications so that they could be in queue. But these days, we don't much recommend to launch them now. Anyways, the fees will be locked. There is a plan. The department may start inviting temporary applicants only after Jan 2021. So until then, we don't see any hopes. If you want, you can just still lodge it. It will be there in the queue. But we don't see any chances that they would be granted the visas. Even if they are granted, they may not be allowed to be here until the ban is completely lifted. So right. Yeah, it's up to them.
So you're recommending that at least apply for the visa so that you're in the queue.
Yeah, you will be in the queue, and then once they start the process. Yeah, there was a case a few days ago, but it was 1 in 1,000, I think, which was granted. They have applied a long back, so there is a possibility. Let it be in the queue.
Right, I understand. And the next question is from, so that's also Vishali to you, that what are the likely chances of partner visa from offshore, which is the 309, and also the client wants to know if there is any development for 300 prospective marriage visa. So I mean, the client wants to, I'm assuming that the client wants to ask whether the application is likely to be finalized very soon or not.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't seem to be really soon. We have launched many 309 applications even after the pandemic period started. But again, usually 300 would be somewhere about 8 to 9 months in practice. But these days it has been slowed down. 309, the time has gone up. So definitely the thing is it goes in the queue. It's better to apply as soon as possible. And then it may be decided on based on the number of the queue. But yeah, you just can't expect them to be fast tracking your decisions right now.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Vishali. So the next question is from Palak. The question is that I'm planning to apply for a 491 in New South Wales in mechanical engineering later when I get ATH. The question is, I'm offered a job in regional New South Wales in general cleaning on a contract basis for 55,000 per year, which might be useful for a 491 visa requirement, and I don't have any mechanical engineering experience. So I'll take this question basically. So Palak, the requirement right now is obviously not very clear because NSW had a previous requirement where before 18th of June, that you have to live and work in your nominated occupation for 12 months, and your occupation has to be on a skill list 1 for a 491 nomination. Then on 18th of June to 26th of June, they had a criteria that anybody living in regional New South Wales will get the state nomination. Now we are assuming that probably the same criteria will not come back, and the previous criteria will probably come back, which is living and working in regional New South Wales for 12 months. But yes, if you never know what criteria will come in, because the government has not announced anything yet. This is just based on my previous experience, that I think it's very unlikely that they will just simply accept anybody in working in any skill job or any job. They would want to see the people working in their nominated occupation, or maybe any relevant occupation as well, right? So I would say you should move to the regional area, but start looking for a job in mechanical engineering. Now the next question is, Priti, if you can take this question. So does the student who have been impacted due to financial hardship due to COVID-19 can extend their stay on free of charge visa application? So yes, Priti, you can take it.
Yes. Yeah, for this one, government has announced, which we have discussed in our previous panel session also, that the students who have been affected by COVID-19 and has not been able to finish their studies within the time frame, they can apply for the student visa, and there will be nil cost for this one. By saying the nil cost, it doesn't mean that you do not have to pay for your health insurances and everything, because that's the condition of your visa. For the longer time you are going to extend your visa, you still have to buy the insurance and everything for this one. But for the department fee, they have waived this one, and there's a separate form for that one which needs to be uploaded at that point of an application.
Right. And Priti, one more question from Sanjay. That the question is that due to the recent changes, the government had announced that people can apply for a post-study work visa from offshore. So if the student has started the course and finished, let's say, or maybe finished the course online while they're offshore, can they still apply for a 485 visa according to the new changes?
Yes, as per the department announcement, and as long as you have finished the studies, firstly, you will be eligible to apply for the graduate visa even if you are offshore. Secondly, all the studies that you have undertaken, even online, will be considered into your 2 years of your Australian study. So this is a really big update which the department gave us about 2 weeks ago, and this is really helpful and was a long waiting announcement from the department for this. So definitely you can apply and can count this one towards your 2 years of Australian study.
Thank you very much for that, Priti. Now, one more question. Nirav, would you like to take this question? The question is, I have lodged an EOI for a 491 visa for ACT in May. It says it expires in 6 months automatically. So, and I think when the client wrote the question, they were not aware about the ACT nomination opening. So this is the question from Ravi. So they have suspended the invitations at the moment. What the client should do, because their EOI is about to expire. So Nirav, I think the client has already lodged an expression of interest for under the Canberra matrix. So what should they do? Should they lodge a new matrix right now according to the current new criteria?
Yes, actually. So as they already lodged the EOI, I think in May, as they said, and like ACT didn't invite for 491, like I think from April or May, they stopped inviting for the regional category at that time for all of the occupations. So now, as they have opened it again for the critical skill list, so if his occupation will be like part of that list, he should expect the invitation if he's meeting that Canberra matrix points. But anyhow, like if his EO is expiring very soon, I would say like it's better to lodge a new one, so he can be in the queue again. So rather than like we are waiting for the end of expiring of the EOI and lodge it at that time, he might be behind in the queue. So it's better to lodge now, because they invite based on the points and first come first serve basis. So if their EOI is very new and if the points are maybe less, you might need to wait more time as well in the future.
Okay, I understand. Thank you very much, Nirav, for providing the insights on this question. Now, Vishali, the next part is discussing about occupation ceilings, right? So if you can share the details about what are the, so now we are done with the questions. These are the only questions we had. Now, the topic is that occupation ceiling for 2021. What do you think? What are the likely chances?
Yeah, so yeah, finally the wait is over. At least they have announced the ceilings for this year. Now, again, the ceiling that they have announced is mainly for the 189 independent visas and 491 family-sponsored visas. Unless there is an exemption that is for an accountant, otherwise all the other occupations will relate to the 189 and 491 family-sponsored streams. Now, I'll first share the key statistics and then we'll move forward. Now, the key statistics will be accountants. Obviously, the first thing they have reduced, they have been reduced to only 1,000. And auditors also 1,619, which is not a very great number this year. Another occupation, which is the most popular, IT occupations, they have retained a high ceiling. I think they have over 15,000 ceiling value this year with all the occupations combined. Engineers, they too have been lucky in getting more than 10,000. I think it's more than 11,000, the total ceiling value this year. Teachers have been allotted a good number again, almost 14,000. Registered nurses, there is a whooping number, almost close to 18,000. It was somewhere about 17,800 something. But yeah, of course, they are the ones who are in the critical sector. So we did expect that they would be granted a great number this year. Trade occupations, as usual, they have always been in high demand. There is a greater contribution for trade occupations, which could be a combination of, let's say, electricians, chefs, motor mechanics, painting trade workers, carpentry, etc. The total occupations have been allotted the number is more than 50,000 this year. Now, I think every state, they have the highest availability as well. But even for 189, the trade occupations have played a huge role. They have been allotted a great number every financial year. Chefs, if I talk about chefs especially, they have been given a contribution of somewhere about 2,200, 20,256 to be precise. Motor mechanics have a good share, which is 5,205 again. Carpenters, jointers, they also have a lion's share, which is 6,800. So in total, yeah, combining all the occupations, trade occupations have had a lion's share this year. Accountants and auditors have suffered the most, I believe, because now these have come as an exception. Usually this list, the ceiling value is only up to 189 or 491 family sponsored, but then the numbers for accountants and accountants mainly would represent all the skill visa options. That means, of course, the states will also have a very less share of seats for these occupations. Also, it goes without saying that there is no point in expecting more invitations under 189 for accountants. There are so many already lodged with 95 or higher points, and the applications are being piled up. But it's just advisable not to expect much this year, especially to accountants. It's better to find some other pathways rather than wasting another year and wait for another ceiling value to be published. Now, just to quickly let the viewers know, these occupation ceiling values are based on the percentage of stock employment in this particular occupation. Now, the employment figures are provided by Australian Bureau of Statistics, and which clearly represents the number of people employed in Australia in each occupation. So I think the decision behind deciding the volume will be based on supply and demand factor. So yeah, it is understandable. This year we were expecting some changes, and because of the COVID, but still many occupations have still managed to do well. IT, engineering, trade, etc. If we talk about the last round that happened in July, I think once again there were invitations only for the critical sectors. 500 invites were issued under 189, and I think 100 were issued under the 491 relative sponsored visas. So let's see, once again, I think this might continue until the budget is done. In September also, we might expect only the critical sector invitations. But then, yeah, if something improves, it might be only after October. So we are all waiting to see what the new budget brings in. And until that, yeah, all the eyes are on states. As Nirav said earlier, South Australia has also made some announcements, only for the month though. They have asked applicants to submit their EOIs, and the usual process for South Australia is that they should be submitting the nomination applications, but until this month, they are the ones who will be picking up your application. So you are only allowed to submit an EOI, and then South Australia will be publishing its requirements on 27th, and then they will pick the EOIs. So I think similarly, yeah, this will be the same line for all states.
Okay, thank you very much, Vishali. One more question from my end. So as you know, last financial year, which is 1920, the total visa allocated to in the planning level was 160,000 visas, right? And especially, let's say about if you talk about skill visa, they had around 15,491 allocations, and roughly 25,000, close to 25,000 actually, for a state nomination for 190, I guess, right? And skill visa skill independent visa 189 has around more than 16,000 locations. So do you think are these visas likely to remain the same when in the new planning level?
Yeah, so the outlook that was published, it had I think around 160,000 places in the financial year for this year as well. But yes, the state nomination, the state visas, particularly 190 may be affected. The allocation may be slightly different this year. And if they focus on 491, they will have a larger share than 190. But according to what has gone so far, I think 190 could be affected, or maybe there may be stricter criterion.
So do you think if they keep 160,000 visas, that means the situation will be much better after October?
Not much better, but at least better than what has been here so far. Months.
Yeah, I mean to ask, will be much better than what it is today, right?
Yeah, that is what we are hoping for, obviously, and that is what we are expecting.
Okay.
According to figures.
I understand. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on this. Now, before we move to the next hot topic, which is the Global Talent Independent Program, we would like to bring to your notice that Aussizz Group not only provides services about admissions, visas, migration, but we also have additional services, which is PT tutorials, which is one of our app where you can practice PT on your own, CCL tutorials where you can practice CCL test exams in different languages. And Aussizz Group has a website called getmypolicy.com.au where you can compare the health insurances, especially for a student visa and 485 visas or any overseas visitor health covers, basically. So those covers you can compare and buy from our website as well. So definitely, if you do have any questions, you can always reach out to nearest office in your city. And Aussizz Group is located all over Australia, including Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Perth. So we are everywhere basically. So if you do need help, one of our migration agent in your local city can certainly help you out. Now, if moving forward, a global talent independent program, especially, there are two categories in it. Number one is the global talent program, and the other one is a distinguished talent visa. So in distinguished talent visa, there are only 200 allocations in a year generally. So obviously that's very less, and people will have to really prove a lot of skills and achievements in the distinguished talent visa. Whereas if you go for a global talent program, the allocations are 5,000. Now, who is this program for? So these programs are for the people who are in one of this industry, which is agriculture technology, medical technology, financial technology, energy and mining technology, space and advanced manufacturing, IT, cybersecurity, quantum information, digital data science, and ICT. Right. So if you're in any of these industries, and if either you have completed a master's by research or a PhD degree within last 3 years, or you're about to complete the PhD degree, then you can qualify for a global talent program. Or if you have, let's say, if you don't have the degree, or master's degree or master's by research degree within last 3 years, but if you're earning and if you're working in this field and if you're able to earn, or if you can show that I'm earning already more than 153,600 a year, then also you can apply for a global talent program, right? In this program, you have to prove that you are exceptionally skilled. You have either completed a PhD degree or a research degree within the last 3 years, or you have an ability to earn 153,600 or more, or you have been already working in this field for a longer duration and you have the income of more than 153,600. Some examples of recent cases that we have been successful with are, let's say, IT graduates who have completed a PhD degree in ICT and artificial intelligence, especially. There is thesis work on this artificial intelligence. The candidate applied without having the job offer as well, just showing that how they will be able to earn this much money in future, and got invited and then applied for the 858 visa under the Global Talent Program, right? So, and the client already got the visa. Second profile is the person working already in this industry for 15 to 20 years, in fintech and as well as ICT industry in cybersecurity especially. And our client also, he was earning more than 153,600. So we applied for an expression with all his achievements and everything. And then the person also got nominated and applied for the visa and got approval. So if you are in any of these categories, you can certainly apply. Also, on top of this, you also need to have a nominator who is an Australian citizen or permanent resident, or an organization which is an Australian organization. And this person is happy to nominate. And this person or an organization who is nominating must be in the same domain and must be prominent in the same field. So you can't have somebody from the outside of this field who can nominate. But let's say a PhD graduate can find their professor or a research assistant to nominate them because they are also working in the same field, doing the research in the same field. Or a person, let's say, who's working in this ICT field or fintech, they can find their company. Either they can ask their company who is employed where they're working to nominate, or they can find anybody who has a national reputation in the same industry, and they can nominate them for this surplus, the global talent program. Now, the stage one is you have to gather all your skills, let's say all your achievements, and outline your skills, and then you have to outline, which category you fall in, either a PhD graduate or you have a job offer or something in your field with minimum salary of 153,600 a year, and then lodge an expression of interest with the details of your nominator as well, obviously. And if you get invitation, right now the invitations are taking up to 3 months or so. Initially, when we started doing these visas, the invitations were granted in 1 week or 15 days or so. But now that, due to COVID-19, the department's operations were affected in the past. So obviously they are taking comparatively longer than they used to take in the past. And also the number of applications now have increased as the awareness is increasing. So therefore, the department's approximate processing time is about 3 months. So let's say, we have a recent case which has been allocated to the case officer under the Global Talent Program, was lodged in end of May. And now that person is on the final stage of getting the invitation. So you can see, it took almost 3 months for them to get an invitation. Now, once you get an invite, then the stage 2 is to lodge the visa. Because once you get an invitation, you are given a global identifier. So that's your file number. Using that file number, you have to lodge the visa. Now, getting the invitation does not really guarantee that you will get the visa, but yes, it gives you very good assurance that you will go through in the visa application as well. Now, once you get the invitation, you lodge the visa application with all your same documents, basically your achievements, your qualification, evidence of your PhD degree or graduation, or your published research papers, or you have a contract or income proof that you're earning 153,600 or more, right? With all these documents as well, along with your police checks and medical examination, you have to apply for the visa. And then once your visa is finalized, that's your permanent residency. So, as I mentioned that, so who is this for? Basically, if you have a PhD degree or research degree, and if you can demonstrate that you will be able to earn more than 153,600 in a longer run, you don't have to have a job offer. If you have the PhD degree or a research degree with some thesis or publications, good enough. But your industries must be one of these industries, which is fintech or agriculture technology or advanced manufacturing and space and advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity, medical technology, any of these industries. If you are in these industries, in ICT especially, so if you completed the research degree, you qualify, number one. Or if you have completed let's say any degree, that's fine, but then you are working in any of these industry sectors and you are earning more than 153,600. So if you fall in one of these two criteria, yes, you can qualify. And the best idea is to contact nearest branch of Aussizz Group in your city, and our experienced migration agents will be able to assist you in understanding the criteria and how to take this application forward. Doing your applications on your own, yes, you can be successful, but because we have come across a lot of people who have got a negative outcome just because they were really highly skilled people, but they did not provide enough documentation to support their application. They simply submitted a very basic documentation and did not write any explanations on how they are skilled. Because this visa is discretionary. Your job is to explain why you should be nominated for this global talent from the global talent program, for this category, because there will be a competition. There are huge number of interest from different people. So obviously your case has to be presented very well, and definitely if you can do it yourself as well, very well, go ahead, no problems. It's very good, and you should always try for this program, because if you fall in any of these two categories, certainly you should apply for this one. Now, that's all about the Global Talent Program. But as I said, if you do have a question, you can always contact the nearest Aussizz Group branch, and we can help you out. Before we go, I would like to thank Priti from Perth in giving her, experience and helping us in understanding and answering the questions. Thank you, Vishali, for answering the questions about the ceiling values and what are the likely chances. And I see some positivity in coming couple of months, especially in the allocations. Once the allocations are coming back, I think it will definitely help students in relaxing a little bit. But thank you very much, Vishali, for joining us today and taking your time out from your busy schedule. Nirav, thank you very much for joining us as well and sharing the information about state nomination programs, especially, and what are the likely chances, what states are where, and you do really have the knowledge of entire Australian states. Even though you're sitting in Victoria, you're completely aware about all the states, which is a good sign of a good migration agent. And thank you very much for taking your time out again. I know you have a lot of applications to look after, and from your busy schedule, you have looked up, spare some time. And thank you, Preeti, for sparing your time as well. And thank you very much, guys, for joining us today and taking your time out as well and watching us. And as we mentioned, that if you do have a question, please mention the questions in the comment box, and our team will be able to answer the questions. And if we can't answer, then probably the best idea is to get in touch with our offices. But we'll definitely try and so resolve your query on the Facebook comment box as well. Thank you very much for joining us today, and you